Okay, so this is going to be 2000, number 4. It's a free response question. Numbers 1, 2, and 3 are typically calculator, and then 4, 5, and 6 are not calculator. So I'm going to assume this is in the non-calculator section. I think in 2000 it was still that way. And we're going to work this one without a calculator. So we're told that water is being pumped in at a constant rate of 8 gallons per minute. So I'm going to write an equation for the rate in. Because it's rate, I'm going to put it as a derivative. So I'm going to call it dW. The rate of the water with respect to time is constant at 8. And we can rewrite that as this differential equation if we need to. We'll see what the question asks us to do. The rate out is given as the square root of t plus 1, so I'm going to call that dW. We could call this I and O for in and out. However you want to label it, it doesn't really matter. So we have these two equations. And then for part A, it says how many gallons of water leak out of the tank from the time from 0 to 3. So out would be this red equation, so we'll use it, and we'll rewrite it, the rate of water as t plus 1 dt. In order to get amounts, we just integrate our rates. So we'll take the integral from 0 to 3. So the amount of water in the tank is going to be equal to the integral of t, the square root of t plus 1 from 0 to 3. And I can use u substitution on this, or you can do it in your head. They do not expect you to write this out necessarily, so if you know how to do it without writing it out, you can. I'm going to change 0 to 0 plus 1, which is 1, and I'm going to change 3 to 3 plus 1, which is 4, and then t plus 1 is u to the 1/2 dt. Again, if you can skip this step, it's fine. You can just skip it based on how you know to do it. And then we're going to add 1 to the 1/2, and that gives us 3/2. And then we divide by 3/2, which gives us 2/3. And we evaluate that from 1 to 4. Again, this is a non-calculator section, so you need to be able to do 4 to the 3/2 and 1 to the 3/2, which is not too bad. I would take the square root first before I cubed it. The square root of 4 is 2. 2 cubed is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Minus 1 to any power is just 1, so minus 2/3, and that gives us 14/3. To finish the answer entirely, we may need to write down units. No, in this case it asks how many gallons, so that you don't have to write the units down unless they specifically ask for it. Since they ask for gallons, that would be the answer. Okay, we'll move on to B part. I'm going to go ahead and erase this. Are in the tank at time t equal 3. We answered in part A that 14/3 are leaking out of the tank. In B, in order to find how many are in there, we have to figure out how many go into the tank, so we have a rate in. So the rate in is this formula, dW is equal to 8 dt, and we'll evaluate that for the first 3 minutes. So we get W is equal to 8t from 0 to 3. So 24 gallons have gone in and 14/3 have gone out. So we do the amount in, which is 24, minus the amount out. Before we finalize this question, let's see if we had any to begin with. We're told at time 0 the tank contains 30 gallons of water, so we also need to add 30 to that. That's what we start with. So 24 went in, 14/3 went out. We started with 30. We add that together and you get 148 over 3. That's how many gallons are in the tank at the end of that time. For part C, I just ask you to write this as an equation. We've kind of already done that. So in part C, we're doing the amount. So you can call it the amount. Water at some amount of time is going to be the amount in, which is 30. Sorry, the amount you started with, plus the amount in, which is the integral of the rate in from 0 to 3, minus the integral of out. So that would be your equation. Sorry, I think it should say for any time. So if it says for any time, this should be a T. And then for whatever reason, they changed these two X's. I don't think the variables really matter there, but at any time T, that's what you would get. And then D part, when is the amount at a maximum? Well, the way that we find maximums is by using our derivative. So we take our derivative, which was given to us, so our derivative, well, we'll not call it dw because we already used that one. We'll call it the amount, or the derivative of the amount would be the rate going in minus the rate going out. And we set that equal to 0 to find our critical value. So we have the square root of t plus 1 is equal to 8. Square by sign, so we get t plus 1 is equal to 64. We subtract 1, and we get t is equal to 63. We can test that. If we choose something less than 63, we get a positive value. If we choose something greater than 63, we get a negative value. So we know that a maximum occurs when time is 63, and that's what it asks for. So that would be the answer.